Greetings and salutations, internet citizens. This is Wolfphototech, and coming directly to you through the internet via the YouTube video sharing platform. And by the way, people, if you are going to reference Boogie 2988, he is referencing old radio sign-ons when he does that. I'm not stealing it from him. I'm taking it from the people he took it from himself. So cut it out. But anyways, this book is Spectacular Settlements. In a previous recording of this video attempt, I said settlement and settle. Yeah, sediment. Yes, I said sediment, and I turned it into a joke. And now I deprived you of that joke by explaining the joke without giving you the joke. But this book is by Nord Games. This book MSRPs for $50, but typically sells in that $40 to $50 range, unless you're in a book and mortar store, which then it is probably $50, or it's on sale. This has over 400 pages in it. This book is built with systems. They guide you through the process of creating settlements, such as trading posts, towns, villages, cities, fortresses, and it also covers the people you may encounter in those villages and fortresses. In the front of it, it's an exceedingly thick book. I'm not joking. It's, as I said, it's like 400 pages. That's a pretty thick book. Of course, my 5th edition book is pretty pudgy because I put a lot of note pages in it. Because I'm working on a project that I'm also working on several campaigns and also playing in several campaigns. But that's neither here nor there. Alrighty, so you open to this nice little section on the legal information, credits, and table of contents. You have very nice artwork throughout this entire book that very nicely and succinctly generates a feeling of constructing a world or city. You have a Dearest Reader section, introduction, which basically covers how to use this book. There's also pre-generated settlements or places that using the system that's in this book. It goes over, as I said, using the tables, using the dice, key settlement info for the settlements. You've got trading villages, trading posts, towns, cities, capitals, fortresses, and then a little information on freedom and one last thing. Nice little information, a little title page for trading posts. And then I'm going to use this as the standard example for the entire book because it basically has this repeating pattern through it. It gives you the base, it gives you a nice little piece of artwork and a little general introduction and explanation of what that thing is or that type of location. And then a little bit of overview on the whole system in this whole thing. Steps for constructing your trading post by randomly rolling dice. Say like there's over here, step 1, basic information. There'll be a step 2, step 3, step 4. You can choose to just use any of these options on this page. Yes. Or you can use a dice to roll them. Say like if I wanted a origin for this settlement. I have no origin in mind for this trading settlement. I can go ahead and take a D8. There's a D8 table and roll, and I got a 5. This is in a no man's land. The trading post was established as a neutral place where opposing forces could purchase wares without encroaching on enemy territory. Okay. It's in the neutral zone. You got a section on specialty, what the specialty of the place is, how old it is, condition, visitor traffic, how often do people come through here, how the age modifies visitor traffic and such. It ranges anywhere from like a D6 table to all the way up to a D20 table. The specialty is a D6 table, so if I really wanted to, I could like roll a D6, find out it's a 4. It says information. The trading post is an information trading post. So, okay. Now, how old is it? It's a D20, a D20 for that one. Let's see how old this one is. My dice sponsors are on. That's a number 8. It's established. The trading post has been around for at least a couple of years. +0 to visitor traffic roll. So, okay. And as I said before, sometimes there will be a notation in here that says you get a +1 to visitor traffic roll, a +2 to crime, +2 to encounters, such and such. That references tables later on in the section that help you build out your settlement. So there you go. You have, as I said, specialty, age, condition, visitor traffic for part 1, as well as the origin on the previous page. Then you go to continue on. It's the size, which is a nice little D20 table. Environment. So if I want to know, like, it's a D10 this time. So I roll a D10. What environment? It's a 7. What is a 7? It's underground. So this trading post is an information trading post that it's established. It's been around for a while. And it's underground. It's in a neutral zone between two quasi-hostile or varying degrees hostile nations. So there you go. Then we go into step 2. So you got the first section up there. It's just basic information, establishing the idea. Get your brain churning as to what kind of story is tied to this place. And then you go into community, which is like, what is the population like? Are they lawless? Are they nearly deserted? There's like very few people. So like here, resident population. That's the first table. It's a D20. Let's roll the D20. You got a 5. What's 5? 5 is in the sparse category. There's very few people there. And it says there's some empty houses and businesses, +1 to crime roll. Okay, later on in the chapter, there'll be a crime section on the next set of pages that when I roll that, I just add a 1 to it, and boom, there you go. You got demographics, what kind of the population, disposition, are they hostile, unfriendly, neutral, friendly, or open? So like that's a D20. Let's roll that. It's a 3. They are unfriendly. So this is a trading post. People are just jerks here. Okay. You got law enforcement, leadership, population, wealth. So how rich is the town? It's another D20. So if I roll a D20 for that, I got a 14, and that's average. They're moderate wealth. So there you go. And then we got a crime section, which is another D20. So I roll the D20 for that. Remember I have to add 1. I got a 3, so it's a 4. It's common. It's a +3 to urban encounter rules. So there you go. You have a little fun cascading effect. Then you got step 3, which is points of interest. You have a section on shops, which is a D100 rule. So you get out your D10s and your D10 dice, and you roll those. I got a 54. What is a 54 on here? 54 is a weaver, weaves raw fabric and baskets. So there's a shop in this town. This is focused on information town, but there happens to be a weaver here. So there you go. And then you got rare magic shop table right here, magic shop. It's a D6. So if I wanted like a magic, do I want a magic shop in this town? Do I? If I do, I roll a D6, and it happens to, interesting enough, this town that happens to have a weaver, but is focused on information, happens to have a magic shop that focuses on books. Interesting in a neutral zone town that there's a dealer that sells magic books with spells in it. So there you go. And then you got a section on services and hired help and optional qualities and so forth. Places of worship, fervency of local following, extra intrigue table, politics, events, opportunities, weather, danger level, how dangerous this town is, danger type. This is a trading post, by the way. And there you go. And what's next? A little information right here. And that's basically the end of that section. And then on the following page, it goes into examples of trading post towns. And it gives you all the information based on the concepts that were applied from the how to construct by randomly rolling or just picking if you really want to go the pick route. And you got numerous towns. You got a pencil sketch one, and you have a top-down view for the town. And you got several of these in this book. That's Godspire. That's Keel Crossing. That's a boat. That's blocking a river. And so forth. Nerbs. Novid, which is a town over a crater. Or such and such. You can modify that. You got a Elven trading post. Basic information with a top-down image of the town. So you will typically have a direct on image in pencil, and then you happen to have a map always of that place top down. No numbers or anything, but it gives you the basic information, as I said before, earlier in the book. And it just keeps going. And then you have villages, towns, cities, and fortresses. This whole book, 400 pages, is just all that. And it's basically some slight differences. Like in the city, you got prosperity, market square, merchant overflow, fortifications for a city. So when you get to this is for towns. This is in the town section. So you get more layers. You get a trading post, which is really simple. You only have like 3 steps with like 6 to 10 tables to roll on with information and concepts of some modifiers between them, and some little insights on advice of creating such and such things. And as you go from very small to very big, they add steps and they add more options in, and it expands it out and gets you more depth into the whole construction. And then you in the cities section, you got like capitals. You got literally a district section with information on districts, and that's actually quite large. You got a more complex magic store section. You got residence, creature, or monster. So you might even have like monsters that live in your town or your city. You got a section on fortifications. Different styles, different places, you know. So this is a really handy book. If you were just running along and you needed a trading post, a town, a village, a city, a capital, or even a fortification, just somewhere in your world, you can just go to this book and pull one out and stick it in your game. And you have all the information to quickly run it through with your players, because it's actually rather condensed. Each town is like town, village, city is the information for the pre-made ones are basically around 2 to 3 pages, so it's not terribly bloated, but it is and it's pretty to the point. But if you want to make your own towns and villages, it gives you the tools and the framework to follow along in building your town and your village. And once you have the basic town, village, capital, fortification, you can modify off of that, and boom, you have a special version of whatever town or village. If you go into the back, as I said before, after you're done with, if you go past the fortification section, you go into another section. This is fortresses. You go into a section called Interesting NPCs. And it gives you advice on creating apothecaries, magic book shop curators, artisans, etc., etc. They give you a few examples, like Remy Underwood and Godfrey Brimble, Mark Jarkson, Sack Drasts, Grooms, Aliska Farsk, and so on and so forth. So it gives you some randomization stuff, like a smith, tavern keepers. You can roll on a d6 table, and you can pick out a tavern keeper from this list, and it keeps going on like that. And then, as I said before at the very beginning of the video, you go all the way through this. There's a magic shop section here on choosing out your magic shops. You have a section on rumors, stories, encounters in the town. You got an encounter table here. So as you go through here, you just keep finding. You also got items, art and literature, and miscellaneous other items here, like a broken toy that people can find, street debris, food table of randomly choosing. People need to find a particular type of restaurant. Roll up on this table. There is in the very back of this book sheets, so you can print off these sheets and fill in all the information from your custom-made towns onto these sheets. And you can go from there. You got a trading post one. You got a village, a town version, a city, a capital city, and a fortress version. You got information in here for temples and indigestion. And there's just a whole pile of these pages here. There's a section on high society in here as well. This book is just ridiculously packed. I'm not joking. There is stuff for everything you need in a town. And if it's not in this book, there is just enough that it should actually kick your brain into gear to construct out that component that is not in this book. There's not very many things not in this book, but the stuff that's not in this book is all the little fine, colorful flavor details of the town, like specific names of various shops and stuff like that, or such and such stuff. The really fun stuff to throw in. As I said, it basically is a pretty good book overall. Actually, it's not a pretty good book overall. It's a really great book overall. If you buy this for less than $50, you are making out good on it. It doesn't have absolutely everything. It has like 90% of everything you need. And the 90% is more than enough to get you to arriving at the special place in which you want to be. You could probably just use fortresses as the fortress section on helping you build some dungeons and stuff like that are slightly more realistic and so forth. Or food for thought on upper battlements of a dungeon. But other than that, this is a chunky book. This is over 400 pages. Jesus Louises. And as I said, there is a variety of fortresses. There's this one that has like a honeycomb pattern to it, which is interesting in itself. You got this place up on top of a cliff. There's a map for it right here, and so forth. So you have a crazy amount of options in this book. This is a crazy option book. If you buy this book, you run it through and you have an issue where it doesn't give you information, you probably want to take some improv classes or some creativity courses, because this book does so much of the work for you and helps you move along and generate ideas quite effectively, that you might want to work on yourself, your creativity skills, to say the least, if you have anything lacking that this book does not give you, because this book gives you far too much as it is, which is a weird way to say it, because honestly it's kind of mean to say that, but there's this weird trend I've come across on Facebook groups and such like that, where you get people who are asking, like, what is a name for a town? How many should I have a blacksmith in my town? What name should I give my blacksmith? You have this person who is literally asking step by step every little thing, like, should my blacksmith have swords and maces? And like the answer, the simple, this is like a super newbie problem, or people who have some kind of weird loss of creativity or capacity to be creative. Don't worry about it. Just flow with it. And if anything, if your players start asking you what's in the town, ask them what they are looking for. Because if you show them a map and have them point at every building and you tell them what's in that building and you write it down, then they're going to get to the end sometimes and they're going to say, like, oh, I wish there was a potter in this town. And like, if you said you were looking for a potter, I would have put a potter in the town. Sometimes players are their own worst enemies, and sometimes game masters are their own worst enemies. So, this book is a ridiculous amount of information. It gives you a solid framework to rapidly roll up a settlement, anywhere ranging from a trading post all the way up to a capital city and even a fortress. It gives you characters to put in those towns. It has rules for encounters for those towns and culture. And it gets you a massive ways to the end. And it's just, I'm sorry I went into a few rants in this video, but it's just like brought up, like, this book is like super thick. And then it got me thinking about all the people I've seen on various groups that basically want everyone to hand feed them every little step by step. And it's just sad and tiring to see that. Sometimes if a game master really needs to do that, they might want to like they might want to just work their way to the end of their campaign and then ask another player to see if they want to be the game master and see if that player has some creativity. Because sometimes I found that even if some game masters have problems coming up with some creative solutions on the fly, it's oftentimes useful to play in a game with someone else as a player and watch another game master or a variety of game masters do stuff, and then you have examples of people coming up or creating things on the fly, and it doesn't hurt so bad, and you don't need to really worry about every little detail. Although I've made game masters, like, I didn't realize I need to put a dump in every town because your character wants to go to the dump, or oh dear, there is no such thing as that. Stop asking me in every town where that is. There's no libraries in the town. Your wizard cannot find any scrolls. There's only 7 copper pieces in a town of over 80 buildings. People picked it entirely clean. Alrighty then. Thank you very much for watching this video. As I said, this is like a 4. I should say that this is a 4.5 star book. This book does maybe too much and might actually result in some game masters becoming really lazy cognitively and creatively. But if you use it as a starting point and then flush and play out the details that are not covered in this book, and that's really small amount of stuff that does not cover, but if you add more flavor on top of it, it's awesome. Game master tip on creating towns and villages: do not obsess about creating or coming up with stories for every little house and individual in the town, or writing massive books, because that actually does detract from if you have a lore book of 500 pages for every town in your campaign, you have a problem now that you are going to... A person is going to come to the town, they're going to ask a character what their name is, and then as you, as the game master, are going to stop, page through your 50 or 100 pages or 200 or 300 pages of notes to find that character's name and their backstory. And then while you're doing that, you are dragging down and slowing the game, and you are actually pulling the players out of the flow of the game. Sometimes all you really need is, like, there is a weaver. Her name is Joan. She is nice. She wears all white and brown. She has a white top and a brown dress. She is married to Jack. And then you have the same kind of information for Jack. Jack is a shepherd. He is grumpy. He speaks in a Scottish accent. He write too much for your characters, and you have to literally read 10 paragraphs to get your information, you're going to drag down the game. So thank you very much for watching this video. Sorry if I got off into a weird rant at the end of the video. That stuff kind of happens. It is kind of painful to me to see game masters or people trying to be game masters ask 50 questions about a thing that they don't ever truly need to put an insane amount of thought into or worry about every single detail. And even if your players are concerned about details, if you are playing and they happen to ask, is Joan a elf or a human? And you like, oh, I forgot to write down what she is. You write down elf. She is an elf. Just that simple. You don't have to worry about an exhaustive amount of history, like where she came from, how she got there. Naturally, in the real world, or even in the fantasy world, if your players ask Joan where she came from, she might not give them the answer, because it's kind of weird to have some weirdos come in from out of town and start asking everyone where they came from. People are probably not going to tell them that. They're just probably going to give them their name and ask them, well, what dresses do you want me to weave you or put together, or and stuff like that. And like a tailor, she's let's call her a tailor now. Joan is just going to be a tailor, and she makes clothing and padded armor and stuff like that on the side. And she's a half elf. Let's make her a half elf now. And she, if the players ask her where she came from or who her husband, if she's married, she says she is indeed married, but she is not going to tell you who she's married to or anything like that. She's not going to tell you her life story, where she came from, or anything like that. If you get players that are upset about that, just remind them that if someone walks up to you on the street in the real world and start asking you, who's your mom, who's your dad, where you came from, what race are you, and what mixture of races are you from, or ancestries, you are probably going to look at them like there's like, why are you asking me that stuff? Like, why? Are you like government? Are you like a criminal or something? Are you like some weirdo that has to pry into every person's life? So there you go. Your characters, your NPCs, are not withholden to give any more information than they want to the players. Unless the players have like psychic powers and they can penetrate into people's minds, in which case you keep a spare sheet of paper, you keep a spare notebook, and you write out the information that you give your players as you're giving them it, and there you go. And then you clean it up later on. But yeah. There you go. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a delightful day and a wonderful week. A magnificent month. I have to stretch a little bit because I've been sitting for a while. And see you next time.